Hey, what's up, and welcome back to Ripe Reviews. Today we're talking about Saw X, directed by Kevin Grutert from 2023. I'm Joel Escola.
I'm Sean O'Rourke.
And I'm Connor McGraw, and I've been here the whole time. Don't listen to anything they say.
Connor! There you are! There you are!
He came through the Speed Force. He has returned after...
You're not there. You're there.
Right, yeah, he's not the skeleton in the corner anymore.
Oh, you know what it is?
I told you I've been here the whole time.
Exactly.
You know what it is? Your essence is flowing through the television right now, right? You're like Sammy Kerr or some shit, traveling through the airwaves.
I went to Granny for form and flesh, and she gave me this box, so...
Yeah, GVD. I was gonna say you're like Tobin Bell at the end of the first movie. You've been in the corner the whole time with that antiseptic, and you're clicking buttons, electrocuting people.
This fucker won't stay still.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you rip that shit off your head for some reason.
I was gonna do a what's that? Is it Megadeth or Alice in Chains, the Man in the Box joke? But I was like, yeah, I don't really listen to those bands. So
That's Alice in Chains. Yeah, I'm the man in the box. Yeah, at least I think so. Julie's gonna kill me if I don't.
I have no idea.
I have friends who are definitely gonna kill me.
How the hell are you, man? How you been doing?
I'm really good, honestly. I don't have any negative things to say about how things have been going. Different job, stress levels are all gone. I'm really good. I have two wonderful new rat sons right over here, Steve and Bucky. Steven Rogers and Bucky Barnes, full names. Wow, I'm really nervous.
It's all good, man.
You're good, dude. Come on, baby. It's just like riding a bike, man.
I know, man. I think just the jitters finally got to me, like right now, this second.
It's okay.
And for any dumpster dwellers that have, for some reason, not gone through the back catalog yet, how dare you?
Yeah, excuse you.
Who the fuck is this guy?
Connor is returning to the show after leaving during the end of the fourth season, so this is kind of a big moment here on the show to have you back.
It's a big deal.
And to talk about fucking Saw of all things.
It's a big deal. There was 4 seasons that Connor was on, and we couldn't do this episode without you. So we were like, we got it. We're putting the fucking band back together, baby. We're doing the Saw X.
Honestly, if there was if it was a time to be asked to come back, it is this one. I was like, oh, please.
It all lines up, dude. You are like the resident Saw head.
Yes.
Is that what do you call? Are you like the Billy boys? What do you call?
I wrote the Book of Saw from the Spiral, the Book of Saw.
Oh. Right. So the last time, so we did talk about one Saw movie, the spinoff.
Oh, yeah, actually wasn't on that episode, but
no,
yeah.
Connor and I had talked about Spiral, so go check out that episode if you haven't checked that out yet.
Chris Rock and Sam Jackson or something. I think, Connor, you liked it a lot, if I recall, right?
I do like it because it's fucking weird. It's weird, and it sets itself apart hard enough, but the fact that you're like, that's Chris Rock in this movie, and his dad is Sam Jackson. This is a Saw movie, and they're telling jokes, and it's daylight.
What is going on? There's pigs, but the pigs are not what the pigs are the actual pigs?
That's like one of 2 spin-offs in this series where Jigsaw is the other one, and Jigsaw is just like, here's more Saw, but it's a handsome guy instead of anyone with cancer or any kind of negative trait at all.
Or like a motive.
Well, he's like, so Jigsaw I don't think really works because there's a third apprentice because Jigsaw's been lining these people up for years, it seems. Only guy he ever saved.
Is it Dr. Peterson?
No.
I didn't watch Jigsaw.
I'm assuming it's Carrie Elways if it's anybody.
Okay.
No, it's a different guy. But the thing is, like, everybody in the series is like damaged as far as like, Hoffman's a drunk and a vindictive asshole, Amanda's an addict, and John is John. And then this guy is like, he's a pathologist, he's former special forces, he can use a sniper rifle, he can do his own crime scenes. I'm like, no, you're too capable, and you're jacked to the gills. Why you have all these cool traits?
So he's Dr. Chernard.
He could be.
He has all the information.
I also, like, I want to, when we get into the meat and potatoes of this, like, sure. I want to talk about Jigsaw's motives and how it's evolved over all of these films. Right.
I got some things to say about John Kramer in this movie.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get there. So okay. So Saw X gonna give it to you. Fucking X Degeneration X, baby.
Forgot to grab them, but I want to do like the 2 Pizza Hut cups on the eyes, like the poster. I meant to grab those. So there's the visual.
The two hoses.
That may have been a dream, may not have been a dream, but we'll talk about it.
It's possible. Yeah.
So X. Okay, so like this is gonna be a little hard to talk about without getting into spoilers, but I guess just a couple of things I'll say that aren't spoilers.
Yeah, first impressions. What like without the spoiler-free review of Saw X and Begin?
It was very good. It was a lot better than I was expecting, even though reviews from our peers have been positive on this.
Sure.
I watched the first 3 kind of just to get ready for this. And Connor told me I should watch 4, but I just read Wikipedia for that. But yeah, those first 3, I think, for the most...
That's acceptable.
Yeah, thank you. Those first 3 still hold up for the most part. I think 3 the downward spiral starts towards the end of 3, even though 3 is
spiral TM or
kind
no?
of. I think the concept in 3 is interesting, but I think it peters out towards the end there. And then, of course, in 3 is when they fucking kill the main character and his apprentice, and are like, oh, this is still successful. Let's make 7 more.
Yeah, remember all the secret apprentice and the big part of the big plan or whatever.
But just to finish my point, I like how they did this film where they're like, fuck it, it's just a prequel, and we're gonna try to make it work, and it mostly does.
Basically a lot of what Sean says. I love this movie. I think it's actually the same director. It's the best sequel since 6, which is also Kevin Grutert. For some reason, he just has a knack for just... Great, we are Grutert. He has a knack for making just interesting ideas and movies in this franchise full of, like, ludicrous shit. So, like, 4 is where, like, the John era ends, and then 5 is a weird outlier. 6 is great, and then 7 is... 7's quite bad.
Now, that's Jigsaw, right?
That's Saw 3D.
Oh, that's Saw 3, and then Jigsaw comes after that.
They did the Texas Chainsaw thing. They just changed it to the 3D, what is the line? Do your thing, cuz.
Do
that
your
whole
thing,
bullshit.
cuz. Yeah, do your thing, John.
I thought this was a really interesting take. A really interesting perspective to choose with who you follow throughout the movie. And the time frame they set it in is perfect because continuing forward with Tobin Bell while set after Saw 3 is fucking ludicrous, and they kept trying it by just inserting all these flashbacks. Instead, the whole movie is a flashback. It takes place in the past, so good direction.
Yeah, there you go. And I guess for me, yeah, I'm definitely echo everything you guys are saying. I had so much fun with this. Like, it was not only was it a fun like popcorn movie and stuff like that, but like I was literally on the edge of my seat a little bit, like watching a few of these scenes, and it just felt good to see it kind of. We put the fucking needle back, right? And it was like, oh, these are all the things is what for me like made this series good in the first place, personally. And I kind of got all of that feeling from this movie, and it nestles cozily right between 1 and 2, right? So I also think, like you said, I love how they took the angle that they did with this one, especially like trying not to fucking shoehorn any other bullshit in. It's like, all right, let's go back to basics, and we'll do it this way and call it a day.
Even the traps don't feel as ridiculous as they become. Like by 7, it's like entire junkyards are being turned into like death traps. Like it's like a mousetrap fucking board game. And this is like, I just got some wire, some other shit. I'll get to one thing he does that makes him a silly little guy. But everything else seems very. I think you know what I'm talking about already.
Yeah,
very conventional and very like grounded. Like there's nothing completely out of this world in this movie.
Yeah, well, it still Saw. There is always going to be that little bit of disbelief. I mean, even that first film, even though you're kind of in it, it's like mostly realistic. There's some stuff in that and you're like, all right, no fucking way.
Sure, but for the most part,
for a horror movie, you're like, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, but for the most part, I think it stays pretty damn grounded and interesting. And is almost like a weird anti-hero movie, sort of, kind of, question mark?
I'm gonna say something about that when we get into the meat and potatoes and everything, because I think that's a weird choice to make.
The bone and brains, obviously.
So we did all enjoy it, though, yeah?
Oh, yes.
I thought it was good. Okay, so there you go. If you haven't seen Saw X yet, get your ass out to the theater. It's October, baby. It's Halloween season. You got a brand new Saw, and normally You wouldn't catch me fucking dead endorsing a Saw movie.
That's what my wife said. She said, I can't believe you're watching this. I was like, well, I rewatched the first couple. They're not that bad.
And it sold me, the trailer sold me, and then talking to Connor some more and figuring out like where it fell in the timeline, I was like, let's give it a chance, and I'm very glad that I did. But yeah, if you have not seen it yet, go check it out. Hit pause. We'll be right here because we're getting into spoilers. If you've seen it or you don't give a shit, here we go. Spoiler time. So, John Kramer
Antihero.
is not dead.
He is an anti-hero. This is kind of like
Who did not die yet.
Yet. Again, he hasn't had that surgery where they like open his brain and everything in 3.
So this takes place between 1 and 2. He just finds out he gets cancer. Right. Or he has cancer, excuse me, and it's like stage 4 inoperable, right? Like he's going to die.
Yeah, this is where he finds out he's basically like a dead man walking, and that like his time left. I think they basically established like even if he lived the events of Saw 3, he'd be dead in months. Like he didn't have a lot of time left.
So let me ask you, Connor, or even Sean, because you guys I didn't watch 1, 2, or 3 to prepare for this because I got the gist and I'm pretty familiar with 1, 2, and 3 the most. And I didn't have a problem following it at all. So what I want to know specifically is how much longer after this movie or after 2 is 3? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's the timeline there? Like 2 and 3 need to take place in between 3 months of this happening.
Well, 4 might actually answer that question.
Yeah, I think they say in 4 that Detective Matthews has been missing for 6 months and is presumed dead because he was last seen in Saw 2 with Jigsaw, and then he is put in the bathroom and then put in the ice trap in 4. So yeah, I think 6 months from 2 to 3.
And that's Donnie Wahlberg's character.
And that is why I wrote the Book of Saw.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that second movie, I love how just Jigsaw fucks with him that entire film. And it's like, the whole time you're watching, it's like, well, I'm going to talk to you if you'll just follow my rules. And it's like, yeah, Donnie, put the fucking microphone away or the walkie away. Get rid of that fucking thing, you moron.
So the big spoiler for this is like the main focus, like we were hinting at in the beginning, is John Kramer.
It's almost like an origin story, kind of, even though it's in between those 2 movies.
It's this intimate look at him struggling with his ailment.
Oh, yeah.
You know, which I thought was pretty interesting.
A through line in this series that he always brings up.
Which I thought was pretty interesting. And like...
Yeah, this is the first time you actually follow him as the protagonist. Like, you never get inside of his head. You're never with him long enough to see what he's going through. And like, it is interesting to do this, one, because like it's the first time they've ever actually spent any like emotional time with anybody outside of like just quick like character establishing things. Like, this is Detective Matthews, he has a son, and that's it. This, like, he's dealing with his own mortality, but at the same time I'm kind of chuckling like to myself, so I'm like, yes, let's contemplate this moment with this man who's committed countless human atrocities across decades and is responsible for the deaths and disappearances of so many people.
But he has a code, right?
He does have a code.
And that's what separates him. You know, because he is, I mean, even though he's doing it horribly, he is trying to help people.
Yes, and I think what's really interesting about this movie is that they're like, he needs a villain. How do we come up with someone who's worse than he is?
She's way worse.
Fucking garbage.
They're fucking sociopaths. They're insane.
They're con people, as we find out, because, you know, John goes to get this life-changing surgery. Even one of his people at his group, you know, to help you, survivors group.
It takes a while to
lies to him, straight up.
It takes a while to get cooking, but but the setup and the payoff and how they kind of weave the story, because the traditional hallmarks of the Saw story are there. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Here's the thing. Well, we're focusing on Jigsaw. We're not focusing on the
victims as much.
The victim or the person trying to figure out the Saw crimes. We're with the guy who's doing the thing, right? And we're following his journey. So it's like, how does this mystery unravel, and how do we get from point A to point B to follow in the tradition of a Saw movie, right?
I kind of love how just to get into this, like when he goes to get this operation, when the wheels start to fall off, both for him and these other people that are conning him, is when he's like getting operated on. It's like, which they did in other movies of Saw, where he has to be awake. It's like part of the brain surgery thing. But he notices, like in the reflection, that something's weird with this video, that they're working on my brain. It's not matching his hands or something.
Well, it's fine, but they turn it away from him. So they don't. And then when you're
watching, looks like he's like, When
you're watching it, you're like, oh.
Well, he's semi-conscious because he's going in and out, because they have him like they they say like he's not fully out. He's out, but like he's semi-conscious. So like he's observing what they're doing through the TV, and they're like, no, you don't need to see this.
Yeah, don't look at that. And he's like, wiggle your fingers and shit. And they're like trying to keep his motor functions going so that because they're working on his brain.
It's honestly, so I don't think we've also established like these people are they're grifter surgeons who will con people out of hundreds of thousands of dollars for a quote unquote revolutionary treatment for a terminal disease or condition, and then just take the money and leave and feign surgery. And then, what are they going to do? They're dead in a few months. And Amanda, when she comes in later on, says all 34 people you've done this to are all dead, and you took all of their money. So yeah, these people are rotten to the core.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
So this Dr. Peterson character, I forget her first name.
Cecilia
literally breaking people's hearts. You know what I mean?
Giving them false hope. As Jigsaw
giving them
puts
false
it.
hope, which is even worse. Like the dynamic there of what she's doing versus what he's doing is great as well, which makes the yin and yang of this interesting.
Well, I thought about that too, because they're both people who live their life at the expense of pain and suffering of other people. But John is expecting and hoping that you will eventually survive. In some cases, you don't have a fucking chance. But at the end, if you survive, he may even help you. He helped Dr. Gordon. He helped some other people. Cecilia's like, nah, fuck you. I'm out. Like,
Yeah, no,
Cecilia is a straight up psychopath.
But that scene when he goes back, because he he thinks that he's made friends with some of these people that work at the facility, especially this woman Gabrielle.
So let's set that up.
Yeah, sure.
So he goes down to Mexico. Okay. So he's in this cancer group. He sees this guy who also has terminal pancreatic cancer. We don't see this guy in any other Saw movies, right? Because I was like, is he from another Saw movie?
Nah.
Okay.
If they say fucking Saw 2.5 or X.5, maybe we'll get this kill
Homie,
that they infer towards the end here.
I'm fucking good, but I will give my theory at the end of how they're going to continue this one. But he shows up and he's fine. He's getting a fucking blueberry scone and he's doing his thing and he sees John and John's like, what the fuck? He's like, you were like ready to die a couple months ago. And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. I got this new treatment from this Dr. Peterson person.
He lifted this shit up. He's like, hey, you see this?
My
battle scar.
Yeah, my battle scar. And, he's like, yeah, you drink this fucking potion they give you and then they do the surgery and then you don't have cancer anymore. It's all fixed. But it's gray market, right? So the American, pharmaceutical industry doesn't want them. The government doesn't want them giving the cure for cancer, apparently.
Right. So. It's a good enough of an argument for John to be like, okay.
Yeah, there's this great like big pharma kind of thing running through this. So this those social commentary.
And in Saw 6, his target is the insurance agent who denies him treatment that will save his life. So it's the same director.
Okay,
that lines up. Then.
So I do recall something happening along the lines of that. So that doesn't. It's kind of the same thing, sort of.
Yeah, kind of. It's getting scammed by the medical system.
Yeah. So when
it is Saul. There's always going to be bleed over. There's only so many different type of things that could affect him that he's like pissed off about.
And I'm trying not to be nitpicky, but like where does that fit into like this part of the story, right? Or is this like the Band-Aid that fixes that? Because it's like oh yeah, I went after these con people who like con me out of like an actual surgery and all my money, but then this other guy fucked me over too because I was trying to get a surgery from him.
Yeah, don't they tease also that like after he's gotten his treatment, like he's seen drawing the rack from Saw 3 and he tears the page out. And my impression from that was like he's like, I think I'm done with this shit. Like I don't think I want to do this anymore. I'm gonna live. I don't need to do this anymore. I have no reason to be vindictive.
Right. He has a new lease on life, if you will.
So like Joe was saying, so then he goes after he gets the website information. He talks to Peterson, and she basically goes like, "Oh yeah, we can get you in there. We have an opening.
Yeah, come down to Mexico. I got this beautiful
villa or something.
Rancho del Peterson. You come down." And we'll fix you right up. We'll take that cancer right out of you. That your inoperable stage 4 brain cancer out.
Say hi to a friend of mine. He's in La Paz.
Yeah, exactly. Baldwin's down there watching him.
Daniel Baldwin's definitely
he's drinking that American tequila. He brought it with him.
Yeah.
But so he starts kind of making friends with some of these people.
He goes to this house and
this giant house.
There's this weird fake out where like these like masked dudes like grab him and they're like, "Dude, what's your name? Who are you?" And he's like, I'm John Kramer. Do you want to play a game?" And they're like, "No." Oh, okay. Are you really who you say you are? And he's like, "Yeah."
completely unfazed, just like, oh, a rifle, ooh.
The man's dying, you know what I mean?
And then there's like some kind of unintentional comedy here where like for 4 minutes straight, people just keep saying, who are you? He's like, I'm John Kramer. And they're like, I don't believe you. I'm John Kramer. Okay. Hi, we're here. Who are you? Hi, I'm John Kramer. Just like, okay, we get it. You're fucking John Kramer.
That's not working. Hi, I'm Jigsaw.
Hi, I'm John Kramer. Hi, I'm Shelley Duvall.
Hello, I'm Shelley Duvall.
So, like Sean was saying, he's running into people in this house that have been saved by Peterson, and one of them being Gabriella.
Gabriella, yeah.
Who like there's pictures of like her family on the walls, quote unquote.
There's also like this guy who supposedly has throat cancer there.
Who actually doesn't have throat cancer. Anyway, she makes a peace offering with the tequila. So so when they fix John up, they like con the fuck out of him.
Oh yeah.
And they fix him up, quote unquote. And she's like, okay, stay in this hotel. Don't leave. And you got to stay here and drink all this fucking magic potion, right?
I have to imagine he was doped the fuck up afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
Just so they can like
time.
make their escape. Like,
not for nothing, but like, wouldn't you like at some point realize that your head didn't hurt at all?
that's what I was thinking. Like, and it's good that he figured it out immediately afterwards, because like after a week he'd be like, why haven't I changed my bandages? Why does my head hurt? What's happening?
And she did mention that they're like a very special cocktail of painkiller and stuff, so you won't feel it. But if you need to have your bandage changed, it sanitizes it or some shit.
I also think that their intention was to basically like make their escape before he would figure out anything happened. So by the time he is ready to maybe sue, they're in the wind.
They're vapor, man.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's probably how they were able to con 34 consecutive people out of this, because they're all probably died or went broke because they can't. Well, actually, they're probably broke after the treatment and can't pursue any legal options. Also, they're dead people. Like,
well, that is for sure.
When you really break down, these people are doing this fucking extra evil.
It is. Yeah. It is.
So he doesn't know. They had to blindfold him and stuff because she was like, nobody can know where you are, where you're from, where this place is. And I love
to protect it.
He's so fucking smart. That so while he's getting better, quote unquote, again, because he doesn't have any surgery happening, he's doing the thing and he's drawing the trap like Connor said. And he rips the page out and he has this hopefulness about him, air about him now because he doesn't have the cancer anymore, but he does. And then there's this part where he's drawing and he sees the water tower and he's like triangulating
because he's a civil engineer, I think he says,
and an architect, and he's like triangulating like about where he was to figure out where he got the operation done, because he wants to buy Gabriella a bottle of the tequila and go gift it to her
as a make good, because she's like, oh, this is like big in our culture around here.
Yeah, it's like their favorite tequila in the place. So
it does do a good job of painting him as like when he's not doing these pretty horrible things, like he's kind of a sweet guy. Like, I mean, a big softy. Like,
well, yeah.
And they try to paint that picture throughout the whole series, and again, like 2 especially, like they play that up heavy duty with him and Donnie Wahlberg's like kind of conflict where it's like, yeah, you're just some fucking murdering asshole. And he's like, I never murdered anybody. And it's like, that's kind of a theme throughout, but you're right. It's like he's at least called out on it a few times in this movie. And I kind of like that they did that. And I mean, Connor, you tell us, I feel like they probably did in some of the other sequels, but those first 3, no one's really calling out his bullshit.
In 5, they show you how he gets Hoffman, and he puts Hoffman in a trap that looks like it's completely unwinnable, and Hoffman's like, what is this? It's like, he's like, you're a murderer too. It's like, this isn't even like, I have no chance of winning this. And then I think he's like, Jigsaw he's like, killing is distasteful. I think that's how he says it. But also like, it's like, John, you built a chair that has like a knife mask. Like you built a knife mask for someone and saw it too. Like you covered a guy in flammable gel, put him in a room full of broken glass, and and filled him with poison in the first movie and expected him to walk out of that room.
Speaking of the traps, I mean, we kind of glazed over it.
Well, we didn't get there yet.
Well, there's the one that, again, might have been a dream, might have happened, but it's not entirely clear.
Which kind of pissed me off because I wanted to see that one, and it's like the one that's on the poster.
I know.
Right? With the fucking tubes going to the dude's eyes. And how...
I was expecting some rats to run through those tubes,
did y'all think it was going to be like rats or hamsters or some shit? Like rabid fucking somethings?
Somehow, somewhere along the lines, the promo material for that movie spoiled it as the eye vacuum. I was like, oh, okay.
See, I didn't even know that.
That was cool, though. Suck the eyeballs out.
He like daydreams about this janitor.
Who's stealing stuff from like a comatose patient and like has a murder dream about him.
I mean,
Pretty much. I mean, I guess that's what John Kramer does, right?
How would I murder this piece of shit? Like,
He concocts it in his head, builds the fucking trap, and then abducts the person and gives it to him.
I mean, he does models and shit in that first one. They're showing it at his
Yeah,
workstation.
yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he went back and killed that guy later, because at that point in the movie, or this whole movie, he has been active as Jigsaw at this point. So, like, that guy only put that shit back because fucking John was standing there. He knows this guy's still walking around stealing people's possessions.
He did say good choice. All right.
that guy's giving me a weird look. I look like he's murdering me in his J dreams or something. I'm gonna put this back in the desk here.
Looks like he's going to break all my fingers and suck my eyeballs out with a
Suck
vacuum.
my eyeballs.
I better put back this engraved wedding ring that I'm never going to be able to pawn.
It was fucking great, though, dude, when the eyeballs get sucked out
Oh,
into
yeah.
the fucking vacuum. That was fun. Yeah, so he goes there.
Back to the house.
To say thank you, give his thanks to them, and the fucking place is cleared out, and it's just a fucking shell of a place like a factory and stuff. And he fucking they clean everything out, but they leave the radiation machine and the fucking DVD player.
They left the surgery video.
Again, plot convenience,
Yeah.
but okay.
They left it on.
Yeah, they left it playing. Like,
Yeah, he goes back and rewinds it. And he's like, "What the fuck?" Grabs
Turns
a
out-
piece of glass.
and
Yeah.
it turns out like the brain surgery was just a DVD that they had playing on a screen. It wasn't actually his head.
It was an educational, it was like an educational video. It looks like it's old too, of like, here's how to do neural surgery, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, what he was observing was fake.
So then the gloves just fucking come off.
Oh yeah, he fucking pulls the bandage off. There's no
Oh yeah,
hole
I
in
should
his
said the
head.
bandage comes off.
Yeah, and like it is motherfucking Jigsaw time.
And this is like
You
an
know?
hour in. Like the setup is done. Now the rest of the movie happens.
Oh, he goes right from I'm a sweet little guy buying this girl some tequila to I've
Yeah.
sewn C4 into your arms. Good luck.
Literally.
he calls the what is it, the lieutenant or the
Hoffman, I
he
guess.
calls Hoffman on the phone.
Yeah,
He's
he
like,
called Hoffman.
He's like, I need you to find these fucking people. You ready, baby? Call Amanda too, because we're fucking getting this shit cooking.
Get that little cretin Amanda down here. 'Cause she'll definitely get him.
Dude, she is a fucking cretin.
I love Amanda so much.
Yeah.
I like her, but again, after just watching 3,
It's funny because like he is this mild-tempered, philosophical, emotional guy, and here she comes. She's like, syringes? Nah, cattle prod. Pfft.
Yeah.
She stalks that woman in
Yeah.
her house, like she beats the shit out of Valentina. Like,
oh, she gets that one. She gets Gabrielle in the bathroom with the fucking stall door.
Oh, she cracks right in the dome with the door, yeah.
there's no subtlety to what she's doing. She's also terrorizing wearing a pig mask the entire time. Like she's crazy.
Oh,
I love it.
yeah, that's her signature. But I feel like just like they regretted killing Tobin Bell at the end of that third one, they clearly regretted killing Amanda at the end of the third one, because it's like, okay, like you did this whole story arc in 3 where it's like, Amanda, you're my apprentice, trust me, and then she does it, and that's kind of her demise. And now it's just like there's like 7 more movies where it's like, Amanda, you're my apprentice, please trust me, I have your best interests, and we already knew she fucking fucked up 5 movies ago.
I know, but
I know it's a prequel. I'm over exaggerating.
No, sure, but it's still. I guess that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
it gives you a chance to kind of fix that story arc, or at least
Yeah,
make
no,
it
sure.
a more enjoyable one during this
Interesting.
movie.
My only issue with it is like in this movie, she kind of is of two minds. Like she really enjoys kidnapping, and abducting these people, and in some cases she's like, yeah, fuck those people. But at the same time, she is kind of merciful towards Gabriella. But in 3, they established that her games are unwinnable, and she's just killing people for the fun of it. Yeah, the opening trap in that movie has that guy with the fucking ring in his mouth who is like
Yup.
trapped in a room full of explosives, and the door was welded shut. He had no chance to get out.
And Donnie Wahlberg's assisting Carrie, same kind of thing. She gets that ribcage thing that's unwinnable.
Yeah, and like I feel like that's what these movies kind of turn. I was going to say that for my
Oh,
final
yeah,
thought,
yeah.
but like that's what these movies kind of turn into, like unwinnable. Let's just kill everybody in these traps without any lessons. Just fuck you, you're a piece of shit. Just kill them in a crazy way, you know. And even with Spiral, like they did the same thing where it was like they couldn't really win any of those things.
Especially the first guy. Holy fuck. The tongue trap is, yeah.
There's no way. Like you're just gonna die, and that's it.
Well, and that's one of my problems with one trap in this movie, the one that Valentina gets stuck into. She has
Agreed.
to
Well, let's just talk about that because we're kind of
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
So he gets pissed off, and he gets not revenge, a chance for them to redeem themselves. So the first guy he captures is the fucking cab driver who also acted as the surgeon. And like Connor said, he sews fucking pipe bombs into his arm with like steel wire, and he fucking makes him like Edward scalpel hands.
Yeah.
and he's got to cut the shit out of his arms. It's awesome. I was like lit, like that's the first trap, and that was fucking really good.
I mean, again, we had the eyeball thing, but this was the first legit, like, oh man, I'm on the edge of my seat. Oh, my hands are over my face.
I was like, oh my God, is he going to get it out?
I like that John's the main character now because we see him while these traps are happening, and this dude's in that room freaking out, and John's just like,
with his notebook.
I hope you can get out of this trap because I want to see you succeed. I do.
You've got like 90 seconds left. You better hurry the fuck up.
You have 3 minutes to cut these bombs out of your arms or they will explode and you will die. 3 minutes.
And he's in the window like,
yeah.
You better hurry it up.
Well, he somehow miraculously does. I was kind of shocked. Yeah. But, Jigsaw, he's got to interrogate somebody to get his information.
Yeah, but even like you said, Connor, like I love that dynamic now because like usually like in the Saw movies, it's like there's the puppet, there's the fucking tape recorder. You never see John look at them or talk to them or do any of that, and I really liked it in this movie because when him and Amanda gather them all up and put them. By the way, when they get Cecilia, she's in like this giant fucking glass mansion, and like Amanda throws a fucking brick like through the top of the glass. I thought that was pretty sick, and it's pretty tense scene because you see her like walking on the roof of this place.
They show the surveillance footage of Amanda just casually walking across her ceiling or her roof is fucking terrifying. First of all, it's the scariest shot in the whole series,
and she's got like maximum security. So there's like lights because she's like turning lights on. There's cameras all over the place, and that last camera turns on where it's like outside and you see her standing in the same spot and then you see Amanda above her and just fucking drop that. It was fucking cool. So he has them all in this room in where he had his surgery quote unquote done, and they can all see each other. They're all in the same room, and he literally comes down there and he's like, I brought you all here because you're a bunch of conning pieces of shit. And we're going to play a fucking game, so we're not going to kill you, but you're probably going to die if you don't help yourself. Or whatever.
Also, here are the receipts. I'm dead serious about this.
Yeah.
See all these people you fucked over and they're all dead? You took all their money and you took my money too, and guess what? You need to be taught a lesson.
Well, Cecilia at first is like, oh, no, you were an anomaly. You couldn't be fixed. And then, like, Shawnee Smith pulls out the fucking receipt with, like, 34 people, asshole.
She's like, bitch, boom. Like, she lies until the very end. You know what I mean?
Time.
And it's like, you've been fucking had, lady.
John had her fucking pegged.
Oh, yeah, big time. Even more so than we think.
Yes.
By the end of this.
But like Connor was saying, this first trap in this sequence, because again, this is basically like a second movie we kind of get into here.
Valentina,
the revenge portion.
It's not revenge. It's redemption,
Well, I'm going to call it revenge, because that's what happens. Because Valentina's this first motherfucker who gets one of the worst traps. Anytime you got to cut your fucking leg or arm or something off. I mean, actually, there might be a character that gets it worse, but.
So this one is particularly egregious in terms of fairness because he gives her 3 minutes to use a wire saw to cut off her leg at the thigh, which is where your femoral artery is, and then suck out bone marrow, and then, like, suck out enough to deactivate this device that will then eventually cut her head off. You ain't doing it.
She gets down to 1 second because they always do that in this series.
Right, but they're like going to take it's the thing where he's like, well, you took away all my hope. You fucked with my hope. So I was like, are these rigged so that they're like just enough so like they're probably not going to get out of it, you know?
Yeah, but I love him. He's like, here's your directions. I want you to saw off your leg and then John, she's dead. Like that's it.
There was one I feel like in I was gonna say later series, but where someone cuts their leg off and they actually survive, and then they're like in a hospital bed, if I recall.
It's the first movie.
Oh, is it?
Carrie always cuts his foot off.
No, what I'm saying, in like 6 or 7 or some shit, because a couple years ago, Tony from Mac the Movies covered Spiral, and he was watching like every one of these. So in the corner of my eye at work, it's like, somebody else is getting killed. That person put the leg in a fucking weight.
It was an arm. It was the opening of 6. She cuts her whole arm off and puts it in a counterweight to save herself.
Okay. Oh. Right. But yeah, this doesn't work. Fucking head gets chopped off as soon as she cuts her leg off and gets the bone marrow in there.
This is such a fucking like. This is the first one where you're like, oh my god, it's still going, and she's like,
when she was doing that when we're going full audition on the leg, I'm doing this in my chair.
Oh my god! So
she was like with a bowling ball.
Oh my god! And she's got like it's like this fucking Italian saw that's like a garrote wire, and she's sawing her fucking leg off like really really fast at one point. The whole fucking
bowling
thing
ball
comes off. My goodness. Yeah, like she's shining a bowl.
Like I said, she went full audition.
Holy
exactly.
hell, man.
Got it right.
And then she sticks this fucking tube in her leg to suck out the marrow. And you're like, oh my God. And the fucking thing is counting down and the shit is piling up on the thing. And you're like, oh.
Gonna make it.
And I'm
We're
like,
not gonna make it.
fucking, the head, it like, this thing goes and this wire hits her neck and it just like slowly cuts her fucking head off. And the whole body just tumbles over and the head falls over. It's great.
Ugh.
It's a great scene.
Also, bone marrow extraction is supposed to be excruciating, even if it's done in a professional setting. So, like, that moment of, like, I'm like, oh, God, no.
Couldn't even imagine, dude.
That's one of the ones where John was just like, especially fuck that person. I mean, she did nothing with that blood work. That's what you get.
Did you take that blood work and flush it down the toilet or what? And it's like, why did Gabriella get her leg cut off? Like, of all the
She gets it pretty bad.
So Mateo gets it next. And I love how John's like, is your name even Mateo for real? And he's like, no, it's Mateo. And he's like, okay, good. Here's the chair.
Yeah.
So
Also, just real quick, Amanda has this weird thing because she's like, well, Gabriella's also an addict like me, so maybe she just wasn't thinking clearly. So she's like, well, Mateo's next, not Gabriella.
that's the empathy that Connor was talking
Yeah.
about, where it was like, oh, she sees herself as the victim, or
I think she sees someone who's young enough to learn from this and not fuck up again.
Right.
Who is in with a bad crowd and probably, sees the exact same kind of mistake she would make in that situation. And it's like, no, you could come out of this a lot better, but, you know, you might not. You might die.
because she's like, oh, drugs are like awful and they're the fucking monster. And John's just like, free will. Everybody's got free will, so fuck you.
Look, they fucked me over, okay? That was $2,500, $25,000.
You don't understand. I took out that loan with that other guy that I'm going to kill in 6.
Yeah, exactly.
I owe him big time when we get back to the States.
So then they electrocute Mateo, of course, because they got to do that.
He's in this fucking crazy, like, contraption with
Yeah,
all this
yeah.
electricity on him.
Oh, hold on. I need to build up to where this actually concludes with him. So, like, he's told that he has to saw into his own skull and dig out gray matter, and then it will dissolve in, like, an enzyme, and then that'll release the trap. But, like, first of all, also seems unwinnable to me, because as soon as you start poking around in there, shouldn't you, like, convulse and lose control? Plot holes. Who cares?
That's what I was thinking in the theater. And John's like, John just has a throwaway line where he's like, did you know that if you lose half your brain, you could still fixes itself so you can still function? I'm like, I don't think that's how that works, like, in real time.
He's like, isn't that a miracle? Mateo's like,
Cutting a fucking hole in his head.
With a skull Dremel.
yeah, Mateo obviously fails, but, like, so he's got this, like, these, like, hot coils next to him. I'm thinking, like, oh, they're gonna melt his face off. No, it closes into a fucking Aztec face mask or something.
Statue. That was weird.
Like, and burns his fucking head.
I'm like, John, where did you find the time? Where did you find the time to do this?
Where did you get that? Did you smithy that fucking
Did you make
metal
that?
thing? Yeah, well, I mean, of
mean-
course he made it, but, like, did he make the mask or did he find a big metal mask?
I'm fully expecting him to go like full pancake or something, you know?
Or like have his head like short circuit and blow up, not fucking close and like melt with hot coils on his face.
Yeah, you kind of get deprived of, like, a money shot. Like, in Jigsaw, it ends with a laser collar that turns a guy's head into a bloomin' onion, which is just a fine visual. Like, but in this, you get nothing.
No, I mean, you get him cutting his fucking head open and like pulling out a part of his brain.
Like this big of a chunk.
And like
not enough though.
Like fucking Derek style from Bad Taste, and fucking drops it into the acid or whatever. So he doesn't make it. And at this point, I'm like convinced. I'm like, oh, we're all. There's just enough time where you think you'll make it, but you don't, kind of thing. Because fuck you.
That's Saw.
Yeah. Well.
Look, picking 3 minutes to do these things is not a coincidence. Like, he's like, that's just enough time to win, but also just enough time to lose.
He also does have that
on the
notebook, so
cusp.
I feel like he's writing shit down. Like, all right, maybe I should do 4 minutes because 3's kind of cutting it close.
It's your choice, live or die.
Yeah.
Do you want to play another game? Because fucking we go to Gabriella now, and I didn't know where this was going.
He looks like he made this up on the spot. He's like, that fucking chain and this fucking chain and that fucking radiation machine. That'll do.
Because you're like, okay, she's chained up and the fucking thing goes and she starts getting pulled and you're like, oh my God, she's going to get like pulled apart or something. And then I'm thinking to myself, like, how the fuck is she going to get out of this? Like, what's the game portion of this? This thing drags her to the top of the ceiling and then over. And there's this giant fucking radiation, like this fucking Hulk gamma ray, radiation ray that's in front of her.
It might as well have been a laser beam.
It might as well have been a laser beam. It's like
Microwave beam, really.
Oh yeah, it's like a fucking tanning bed on fucking sun power. She has to take this hammer and beat her fucking ankle to death and her wrist to death so that she slips out of the chains. But the best part about this is the whole time she has this fucking radiation X-ray machine blasting her, and it's gradually going up in radiation, and she's just frying like a fucking fried egg on her face.
Oh, it's turning her to mush.
Oh, dude, it's gross. But she like breaks her leg first and then swings out. And it's so great because she's like, oh, God, I got to break. And then the whole fucking machine moves over and starts frying her
like
again.
GLaDOS or some shit.
She's the only one to make it out. And you're like, holy shit.
Almost.
There she goes. She made it out. The guy from the beginning shows up that had the throat cancer.
Oh, right. I forgot to talk about that. That's true.
So he shows up and they're kind of like, how the fuck did he find out about this? Blah, blah, blah. So he comes in, he's ready to kill people. So they Amanda ends up knocking him out and bringing him upstairs and chaining him up and being like, hey, this is what we're doing. You want in on this?
You want to watch?
You want to watch? Like, do you want to be my other apprentice? You know, you can be saved too.
He's like, what the fuck is happening here?
But he's got one rule though, guys. No guns.
No guns, right? But he watches fucking dude like watches Gabriella like beat the shit out of her legs and hands and get fried by this fucking thing. So they let him out and he spoilers, he double crosses them.
Right.
So before we get to see the trap of what Cecilia is, the tables have turned on John and Amanda. So they bring them down and they unlock Cecilia and they put John in the fucking chains and they put Amanda in the chains. Now there's this back and forth here that's just really fucked up because here we get the true colors of Cecilia and it's the fucking most darkest shit ever. Like John's fucked up, right? And his method of rehabilitating people is completely unorthodox and horrible. However, Cecilia, how do you, like Connor said in the beginning of this episode, how do you top that with a worse villain? And she's devoid of any emotion or anything and is literally out for the money. Not only has she stolen all his money from these fucking cancer patients and let them die with a fake surgery,
right?
And fake miracle drug. She even calls it a fucking miracle drug at one point, well, because it's not real.
Well, and then like you just said, like Connor said, try to make her more evil than John, this despicable person.
Yeah.
Okay, everything she's saying is already horrible. Let's take it up a notch. Gabriella barely alive. John, please, we need to get her an ambulance. Please, we got to get her to a hospital.
Because she made it out. She was fair and square. She beat the trap.
No, Cecilia steps on her fucking neck and kills her.
And completely obliterates the plan that Jigsaw had. So now it's all fucked up. And Cecilia fucking calls John out, too.
She knows who he is. She's like, oh, as soon as I figure out who you were.
And she knew the whole time, apparently.
She's like, oh, you're the Jigsaw man. Do the scary voice, Jigsaw man. Come on now. You're in your own fucking trap.
Which I thought was very funny. He's like, my voice is scary all the time. Don't tell me that.
It's just the way I talk.
She also kind of implies that she did this because she knew who he was and she wanted to, like, get one over on him.
Well, she knew when she
when she got
there.
Caught. Okay,
Yeah,
that makes more sense. I was like, oh, you purposely got caught by the serial killer?
And she was okay with everybody else dying because she didn't have to split the money with them anymore. She's just like, oh yeah, go ahead, kill yourself, cut that leg off, do this fucking thing, cut your head open and kill yourself. Her and the fucking Australian guy or the British guy.
Parker or whatever.
Parker, that's his name. To do one better, instead of just killing John in his own trap, there's a little kid that John makes friends with earlier that he helps him fix his bicycle.
That's a cute scene, by the way.
It is. It's a really cute scene. They see him fucking...
Again, he's a serial killer. I don't know if I should really have these feelings about him.
He's not a serial killer.
They do a good job of showing he has empathy and he's not a complete piece of shit and that he has no ill will towards people who did nothing wrong. This kid is innocent. He has no idea what's happening.
Not saying that his methods are orthodox or anything like that, but he's not maliciously randomly killing people.
It's twisted, and I'm saying twisted because it's twisted pictures, but yes, it is twisted.
Well, there's lessons to be learned. I mean,
Yes,
that's the whole catharsis of it.
I hope someone appreciated that horrible joke.
I was twisted pictures, man.
I was like, Sean's on the payroll.
We are not.
Check,
We are not. We are not endorsed by Lionsgate. Thank you very much, Cecilia. You don't think she can get any fucking worse, right? She kills Gabriella. She's gonna kill them. She let all those people die. Took all their money. She fucking goes and sees the kid on the screen and goes and has Parker. She tricks him to come inside. This little kid.
Yeah, she goes and gets him herself.
Yeah, and she's like, "You're gonna have this innocent child's death on your hands, John. It's gonna be your fault." And I'm like, "This bitch is about to fucking kill this child."
And the whole time, John's like, "Please don't do this. Like, no, don't do this.
You're fucking up the plan. This isn't how it's supposed to work."
One of this movie's strengths like suddenly bolsters to the top, and that's Tobin Bell can act his fucking ass off. And in one movie, he was paid to lie on the floor for 4 days. So think about how this series has used him up until now.
True.
The first movie, he's just on the floor. And in this movie, he's like boasting like this very heartfelt, very powerful, very wide, dynamic performance.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, and in his first appearance, he laid in a puddle for 90 minutes.
Yes.
He's about to lay in another puddle in one sense.
Man, so there's this. So Cecilia's trap is a 2-person trap, which is weird. Which we at first, and I was like, well, how the fuck does this work? Why is there 2 things for the 2 people? So I'm thinking like, oh, she was supposed to be shackled to something else. Anyway, it turns out this thing raises up, and it's got these 2 levers on it, right? And one person's on one end and one person's on the other, and you're like chained down. And what happens is fucking blood comes out of this fountain, like instead of like a water board, it's like a blood fountain into your mouth, and you can't move. So you're literally choking on blood, this torrential downpour of blood into your mouth.
Probably pig's blood.
Oh, 100%.
If it's Mr. Kramer's design.
Could be.
Honestly, they didn't do a whole lot of pig motifs in this movie. That would have been a place to put it. So
I kind of like that they didn't.
Me too, but that's where I would have expected it also.
Yeah. So it's a lever system that tips the fucking board. So if you're like this way...
Yeah, and I guess the point is to pull your lever to drown the other person, and that person can then pull the lever back to drown you back. There's a similar trap in 7. It did work differently, but yeah, it's a competitive trap.
Yeah, it's competitive or also who's going to give their life for the other person kind of thing.
Yeah, also, blood is not like water. Blood is tacky and thick and will clot.
Man.
It will clot.
So it goes into this kid's mouth. Like, this kid is like sucking down this blood. John, he fucking pulls it, and John gets it in the mouth. And
well,
they're
he's
like,
telling him, he's like, don't pull it. But the kid, like in a brave moment, pulls it, and they're like doing back and forth,
to save John,
to save each other.
And then they're kind of going back, saving each other.
Which on some level is, I think, the actual point of the trap up. The way that most people actually function in these series, even the traps that in these scenarios, even though they're gonna fuck you up, if you work together, you'll survive. No one ever does. So.
No, because everybody's out for themselves, which is a lot of the lessons to be learned. Well, especially in like 2. So they're like, fuck this shit. You guys have fun with the blood fountain game. You're gonna die anyway. We don't care. We need the money. So Cecilia and Parker run up to the safe room, and they grab the fucking money. And as soon as they grab it, of course it's tied to a fucking wire, and the tripwire goes off, and the alarm goes off, the fucking door slams shut.
This is where, like, you need to have that suspension of disbelief that Jigsaw is a criminal mastermind who can have a James Bond villain secret death trap room at the very end of the movie.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's preposterous.
It's also a pretty good failsafe, and I feel like he would think that because that was the whole point. That was her whole motivation to begin with.
As we find out.
Money. Yeah. You know what I mean? So even if he did die...
He's like a Machiavellian genius. Like, he's like, oh yeah, no, my plans have plans. Like,
he is a Moriarty and a Sherlock at the same time.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous, but it fits the character. And like, as it's happening, like as an audience member, if you're familiar with these characters, I mean, if you went in this and this is your first Saw, maybe you're not thinking this, but you're like, all right, the guy lives at least one more movie, so he's got to get out of this somehow. Sure. And I'm like sitting there as it's going down. Like, I didn't really figure it out until I think you're supposed to really figure it out. But you think something's weird. How are they just gonna get away? And then, they take the money, and you're like, oh, okay. Starts fucking taking all the chains off. It starts, fixing itself.
So they're up in the fucking safe room, right? And they take the money, and everything closes, and like this nerve gas But it's not nerve gas. It's like some kind of flesh-eating bacteria gas.
They got that from Leprechaun 4.
No, they did.
Whatever the fuck. It's just, he's like, poison gas. Sure, John.
This poison gas will slowly
This is
burn
like
your body.
This is the more advanced version from 2.
Gotcha,
This is
yeah.
like the one that works quickly instead of over 2 or 3 hours.
And there's only one hole, so only one of them can stick their head out. And this is like the fail-safe trap for Cecilia, just in case she got out. ?
Well, no,
Or
this
whatever.
was the plan from the get-go, is my theory.
This was all mostly according to plan, according to John.
Well, I feel like John was like, "That's not what." I think he even said, "He's like, well, we didn't plan it that way, but it worked out anyway.
Well, there they are.
Thank God I rigged that room up all fucked up."
They're in the death box. It worked.
Well, the way I read that is that's exactly what he wanted to happen the whole time. The only difference is the little kid wasn't supposed to be involved. It was supposed to be Amanda on that fucking seesaw. It wasn't supposed to be some little kid they just grabbed.
Yeah,
That's the only difference. I think from the get-go, they always knew, like you said, they wanted the fucking money. They kept saying, well, the money's upstairs. The money's upstairs.
I guess you're right. Yeah, maybe it should have been Amanda on there. Yeah.
I think it was supposed to be Parker because during the whole, when the theme song happens, you get the whole montage of them figuring out. I think they had pegged Parker from the start. Yeah, because Cecilia calls him, and then Amanda picks her phone up, sees she called him, and was like, gotcha. Like, we knew you were coming. So I think they knew they had him in the trap to begin with.
Yeah, 100%. They were looking for him. They even say that. My point is that from the get-go, Jigsaw always knew him and Amanda were going to be on that trap, but they wanted it to look like it was Cecilia and Parker's trap to fuck,
I took it as like that was the plan, was to get them both
I can
on
see
there.
it.
But it was like, if this doesn't work, because like
I just watched 3 of these movies, and this is something he does in all of those first 3 movies, so I feel like that's why it's intentional. But I get what you're saying.
Sure, but like now that I'm thinking about it, I guess that like it was intentional because Jigsaw John like sat him in a fucking chair and like chained him up and then let him go and then gave him a choice. But why did he give that guy a choice unless it was part of the whole fucking I don't know.
Well, he also like took the bullets out of the gun. There's like that little moment there too.
Anyway, I thought it was fine. I mean, it might not make complete sense, but it's not as so absurd as like some of the other ones.
Honestly, I think it's the weakest part of the movie, and it's in the weaker big reveals, but I don't think it hurts the experience for me.
No, and I would agree, even though I don't mind it, but it's kind of like, okay. And then also, like, I guess she's alive, but she's just stuck in there.
Yeah, so Cecilia is in there with Parker, and Parker she ends up like stabbing him and fucking killing him. And it's like, I told you, Parker, you'd get fucked over by Cecilia.
Don't be whooped by that pussy, John Parker.
She's a fucking maniac, by the way.
But again, like, Cecilia just lives, I guess.
Well, here's what I said from the beginning about like the apprentice thing, because she sticks her head out and she's safe ? Or she survived ?
That room is sealed. They can't get out. So she's trapped in that room. She has been exposed to deadly nerve gas, like briefly. I don't think putting your head out a little window is going to save you in the long run. She probably has internal damage that's going to kill her in a matter of minutes. Like,
I was going to say they can bring her back as like another secret apprentice for a sequel if they really wanted to.
She comes back with a burned face. She's like, Jigsaw, you ruined my life.
And he says to the little boy, he's like, glad you made... Actually, he doesn't actually keep the money for the rest of the series to pay for it, and he gives it to the kid. I forgot about that,
I don't know where he gets the rest of the money for the series, but he gives it all to the kid.
Civil engineer.
Yes, they walk off into the sunset, and fuck you, Saw X comes up, and then we get this post-credit scene with the detective.
Oh, yeah, Hoffman and the guy that was, like, grifting him about how it's like, oh, my battle wound is, like, tied up.
He's like, you don't have a scar now. And he's like, sorry. I didn't. Where's my cut of the money?
There's a few people in this bathroom. Have you used this place a lot?
There's a big puddle on the floor. It looks like somebody was laying there or something.
Is that a foot?
Is that a foot? Oh, you know that foot's there stinking up the joint. Yeah, I mean, I really like this one. I thought it was really fucking good. I had a great time in the theater. It had me on the edge of my seat. I was squirming around. I really like the story in this, considering, this is the fucking 10th movie in this series.
I think that's what's the most impressive about it, is that it's the 9th sequel and it came out this fucking good.
I think because it went kind of back to basics.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I think that's a big strength of this movie. It wasn't this crazy fucking interwoven story and we have to fucking backtrack to make this all make sense. It was just like, we're going to stick it right here before things got too overcomplicated, and I think they fucking nailed it, and it was a very enjoyable movie.
Where they go from here, I don't know, because Tobin is not a young man. Tobin's excellent, and I like the fact that he's here, but like everyone they brought back is noticeably older, despite how hard they tried to cover that up.
And Shawnee looks great, but you could tell.
Yeah.
Whoever gave her that little page boy haircut should be fired.
Oh my God, her
man.
hair's terrible in this movie, by
Bad
the way.
wig.
Yeah.
Bad wig. Hoffman does look a little older, and yeah, Tobin looks significantly older. So if they're going to continue, they may have to go back to like the Spiral route, but like this was a really good way to bring the series back on track a bit.
I'm kind of happy. Like, if this is the last one,
I'd be
Tobin,
fine. Yeah.
I think I'm like okay with that. Right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't need it. Like, you did it. You fucking pulled it off. I don't know how the fuck they did it into an actual enjoyable movie. But here it is.
I mean, I feel like, Connor, you may have said this earlier, or correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like, if they haven't gone the copycat route, I mean, again, there's more apprentices.
That was Spiral.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, like, do the Scream angle where it's different killers every time. Maybe there's connections, maybe there's not.
And the thing with Spiral is that, like, when you get to that reveal, it's the weakest reveal in the whole series, because that kid is like, John Kramer says Spiral will go wound and wound, and that's his whole explanation for the entire thing.
Okay. Time's a flat circle.
Yeah.
And you know how it goes when you got to bust out the pop-up funny.
The idea is there. I guess if they already tried that with mixed results, maybe not. But yeah, I could totally see like someone picking up the mantle if it's not Amanda, clearly, if it's some new character, which may just piss people off. So maybe just ignore me entirely. But
I was good on these movies 5 sequels ago.
no, I'm same. But
You managed to get me, and you got me, and I will say that it was good. So congratulations, Kevin. I don't personally need any fucking more of these movies. I think it has run its fucking course. You did a fucking spin-off. You did a prequel, like a honest to goodness prequel. To the well, not prequel. What would you call this?
It's an interquel, I guess. Well, Joe, they haven't checked the last box on the Hollywood journey. They haven't done a reboot yet. So no, of course we can't. I put that in the air and I'm going to regret it. Like,
you motherfucker, you know it's coming.
well, you know what's the real
Blumhouse presents.
The next one is actually going to be from Marvel. It's going to be the army of Jigsaws or whatever. It's going to be all the different versions of John Kramer from every movie.
The multiverse of
of John Kramer. Yeah. Talk about a multiverse of madness, just fucking saw traps all over. I don't want to go to that planet, put it that way.
I don't want any of that. I'd rather fucking...
Want to play a game? It's like a whole planet of traps. You just land there. It's like a Rick and Morty nightmare.
It's funny you say that because Saw right now is like the only place you can go to not get bothered by the multiverse. Like everything has it. It's even in Mortal Kombat, but that's the one place I accepted it from.
I think it's hilarious that Saw 10 is better than... I didn't even see the Exorcist sequel, and I'm not going to watch it till it's free. But I know it's better than that, and I know it's better than fucking Halloween Ends. Okay, and I think that's I never thought I would say that. Coming from from a new movie in a continuing series that should have died already.
Okay, yeah.
I think it is a testament to the strength of Saw as like a modern horror franchise stable. Like it is the new Friday, it is the new Halloween, it is the new Nightmare. Like it's what we have in place of those things. And like if it runs as steam after 10 movies, it would follow their footsteps just as well. But like I'm happy if it ends here, but also like I'm also very content with it being like, you know, the contemporary horror franchise. So yeah, I think it beating Halloween the Exorcist quality is not at all surprising at this point. It's still pretty fresh.
It's just bonkers to me, especially considering how much money was fucking dumped into both of those franchises for those trilogies or sequels or whatever the fuck. And this does a lot with a little, you know?
Yeah, every time they make their money back and they don't cost a lot to make. I think the first movie was filmed in like 18 days on like a nothing budget and made gangbusters.
A true indie flick, the first one was, for sure.
Yeah, and this one I think is the most successful one since the first one.
Wow,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I really liked it, so...
Highly recommend it. And
yeah.
I guess if you're coming to this later, I guess maybe there'll be a Blu-ray down the line. I would assume there's
of course.
Be, right?
Well, they're gonna fucking have that Saw box set, right?
With the eye thing coming out the front.
It's gonna be a fucking Billy head, and you're gonna open it up, and all the DVDs are gonna be, the Blu-rays are gonna be inside. Yeah,
it is good for people like Joe just said. Like he checked out after what, like the first 3, 4, 5.
I think the last one I saw in earnest was like 5, and I was like, "Fuck this shit."
Yeah, it is good for that crowd who are like, "Yeah, watch the first 3, and that's really the only I care about." I'm like, "Yeah, you would actually get more out of this than if you were to watch like 5 or 6." So
So it seems like it's a pretty fucking right movie.
Oh, it's right, baby. You know it is. And again, like I said at the beginning, I never thought I'd say that about a Saw sequel, but here we are. Stranger Things, I guess, right? Oh, by the way, I got this little sippy cup of Billy. You
Put your dumpster juice in there.
Yeah. You fucking drink the juice. Do you want to have a drink? You know, that's
I have been staring at that thing the whole time, and I had no idea it was a fucking cup.
I saw it at the theater. I'm like, is that a fucking sippy cup? You're coming home with me, mister. A Saw X. Get your Saw X sippy cup now at your participating Cinemark dealers. Yeah, go check it out. I mean, if you enjoyed the review and you're a Saw fan, definitely go check this one out in the theaters. It does not disappoint. And again, I'm not personally a fan of the Saw franchise. I think it's pretty amazing, the staying power of it, but I will say that I only really like the first one, maybe the second one. But this was really good and I really enjoyed it. And you should go check it out yourself. But yeah, man, dude, Connor, thank you so much for coming to hang out with us again. It was an absolute pleasure. It was so fun getting the three of us back together again to talk some movies, especially Saw and the Saw franchise.
This is the single happiest few hours I've had in a long time. So thanks for asking me back for this. I feel like this was I don't know how to describe this adequately. But I feel like this was some nice closure for me in terms of just a couple not so good years. I just want to say I don't know what the future holds after this, but this was fantastic. And if you guys ever want me to come back, I'll come running.
We will absolutely have you on the show again. And I'm sure everybody at home is psyched for you to even be here. Yes. And then the prospect of you coming back for another episode. So yeah, man, we love you. Thanks for coming to hang out.
Love you guys too.
And when you come running back, Connor, we fully expect you to be going through that Speed Force, all the flesh coming off, and then you arrive in your chair in your
skeletal form.
Skeletal form, yes.
I mean, we have you propped up in the back over there.
Right.
Yeah. Just in case you come back.
Before you told me about the whole the box thing, I was like, are they just gonna prop the skeleton up and give it a microphone? Because that's hilarious.
No, because then I have to sit there and puppeteer the mouth the whole fucking time. And...
No, just leave me there, just totally still. That's the joke. Just.
What do you think? Okay.
No, you're in the box,
Nothing.
Connor. You're staying in the damn box.
You're in the box. You're traveling through the fucking
MDU.
What happens when you turn the box off?
You're still there.
You better watch out for that hungry monster, the one from Terror Vision.
Or you watch out for that fucking lightning gremlin while you're in there, and the Sammy Kerr while you're in there. Yeah, they'll get you.
Oh, I have to now contend with every entity that's been trapped in a television. What kind of nightmare world is this?
Any electrical entity for sure. Yeah, and the Terror Vision. Yeah, the Hungry Beast is in there
that's
too.
His name. Yeah.
Thanks, Granny.
Don't you worry about that, Connor. We got you covered.
Yeah, I'm coming. I've come for your skin now.
Oh, God.
Oh, no. We got to collect him like a fucking Horcrux to put him back together again.
Before Granny takes it.
So, yeah, that's it for this Ripe Reviews, and we'll catch you on the next one. Have a great one.